My name is Claire, I'm 32, and my own mother stole $9,200 from me right after I paid for my sister's wedding. Before I tell you how a single piece of paper turned my entire family upside down, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. It's always amazing to see how far these stories travel. It all ended at a fancy Sunday brunch, with the sound of a champagne flute shattering on the floor. But that wasn't the real sound of breaking. The real sound was the shattering of a lie I had told myself for 32 years, the lie that one day, if I just gave enough, I would finally be enough. My family operates on a simple system. There's the golden child, my younger sister, Lily. And then there's me, the scapegoat, the fixer. I remember for my 18th birthday, I had earned a partial scholarship to a summer program at a great university. I asked my parents if they could help with the rest of the tuition. My father, Robert, looked at me over his newspaper and said, "Money doesn't grow on trees, Claire. You have to earn your way." I ended up working 2 jobs to go. The next week, they bought Lily a brand new designer handbag, just because she said she was feeling sad. That was the system. I earned, she received. So when Lily announced she was getting married, I knew what was coming. I'm an event planner, a good one. I've built my own business from scratch. But to my family, it was just a cute hobby. They asked for my help, and I agreed. The simple garden wedding Lily had first mentioned somehow morphed into a ballroom affair that would make a royal blush. My mother, Susan, was the director of this expensive production. "Oh, Claire, we simply must have the floral arches," she'd say, waving a dismissive hand. "And the premium catering, of course. We can't have people thinking we're cheap." We meant you. The costs spiraled out of control. Finally, my dad sat me down. "Claire," he said, his voice laced with that familiar disappointed tone, "the deposits are due. We're a little short." I knew what he was asking. I looked at the $24,000 in my savings account. It was my down payment for a small condo, my escape plan. But I saw the hopeful look on Lily's face, the expectant stare from my mother. Maybe this time, I thought. Maybe this grand gesture would finally be the one that bought me a real seat at the family table. I made the transfer. The wedding was stunning. And I felt a flicker of pride. But during the reception, my friend Emma, my rock through all this, pulled me aside. "You okay?" she asked. "You look exhausted." I just smiled. "It was worth it," I lied. The first crack in the illusion appeared later that night. I was walking down a quiet hallway at the venue, and I heard my mother's voice drift from a side room. "She won't even notice," Susan was saying to Lily. "It's the least she can do after all this. Think of it as a little bonus for your honeymoon." My blood ran cold. A bonus? What were they talking about? Earlier in the night, Lily had come up to me, looking flustered. "Claire, my phone's dead. Can I use yours to call the shuttle for Grandma?" she'd asked sweetly. I was in the middle of directing the waitstaff and handed it over without a second thought. My PIN, of course, was Lily's birthday. It always had been. I ducked into an empty restroom, my heart hammering against my ribs. I pulled out my phone, my hands shaking as I opened my banking app. And there it was. A transfer, made just an hour ago. For $9,200. To an account named Susan Bennett. Memo, family expenses. It felt like a punch to the gut. It wasn't just the money. It was the premeditation. The casual cruelty. The complete and utter disregard for me as a person. I stumbled out to my car, the sounds of the party fading behind me. And I just sat there in the dark and cried. I cried for the money, yes, but mostly I cried for the stupid, hopeful little girl inside me who never, ever seemed to learn her lesson. The girl who thought love could be earned through sacrifice. She died in that parking lot. After the tears dried up, something else took their place. A cold, hard calm. I took a deep breath and sent one last text message to my mother. Mom, I saw a $9,200 transfer to your account. I'm sure it was a mistake. I really need that money back. I waited. 5 minutes later, her reply came. Don't be so dramatic, Claire. It's for the family. We'll sort it out later. That was it. That was the moment the last thread of hope snapped. I deleted the message thread. I took another deep breath. And I called Emma. But this time, I didn't say, I need a friend. I said, Emma. I need a lawyer. The next day, I sat in Emma's sleek, minimalist office. The air smelled of coffee and justice. In front of me on the table were 3 documents she had printed, the screenshot of the bank transfer, a copy of my phone record showing I wasn't using my phone at that time, and a crisp, formal letter on her firm's letterhead. I felt a wave of nausea. Is this too much, Em? I whispered. I mean, it's my family. Emma looked at me, her eyes firm and unwavering. They stopped being family when they treated you like an ATM, she said quietly. You aren't doing anything to them. You're just sending the bill. Her words straightened my spine. She was right. This wasn't an attack. It was a boundary. Which brings us to the brunch. The whole family was there, including Lily's new husband, Mark, a quiet finance guy who seemed genuinely nice. The mood was celebratory. My mother was holding court, retelling a story about how she saved the day with the florist. I let the silence hang for a moment after her story died down, and then I spoke. I'm glad everyone enjoyed the wedding, I began, my voice even. Because it appears to have cost me an extra $9,200 that I wasn't aware of. My mother laughed, a high, tinkling sound. Oh, Claire, don't be so dramatic. We talked about this. No, I said, my voice dropping. You texted about it. After you took the money from my account without my permission. Lily's face went pale. My father started to say, now, Claire, let's not make a scene. I ignored them all. I reached into my bag and pulled out the file Emma had prepared. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I simply slid the lawyer's letter across the table towards my mother. This isn't a conversation, I said, my voice like ice. This is a legal demand. You have 48 hours to return the $9,200 you stole and the original $24,000 I loaned you. If the full amount is not in my account by then, this police report, already filled out, gets filed. Silence. The only sound was Mark, Lily's husband, picking up the letter. He read it, his brow furrowed. He wasn't an emotional man, but I saw his eyes widen slightly. He looked up from the page, not at me, but at his new wife. Lily, he said, his voice low and serious. This is structured like a formal legal demand. Transferring funds like this, for this amount, this is felony territory. What have you done? That was the word that broke them. Felony. It hung in the air, ugly and real. My mother's face was ashen. Lily burst into tears. And my father, for the first time in my life, looked truly terrified. It was in that moment the champagne glass slipped from my mother's trembling hand and shattered on the floor. That night, I was summoned to my parents' house. It wasn't a request. It was a panicked demand. The 4 of us sat in the living room, a room I had never once felt comfortable in. The air was thick with resentment. Susan tried first. After everything we've done for you, Claire. How could you do this to your own family? Lily sobbed next to her, a performance of victimhood. I didn't engage. I just sat there, my hands folded in my lap, and waited. I had my one line, coached by Emma. Finally, my father turned to me, his face haggard. What do you want? He asked, his voice defeated. I looked at him, at all of them, and for the first time, I felt nothing but a distant pity. "The terms are in the letter," I said. 48 hours. No negotiations. Robert stared at me for a long moment, searching for the daughter he could always manipulate. She was gone. He finally slumped in his chair. "Fine," he bit out, not looking at Susan. "It's done. Just send me the account details." 6 months later, I was sitting in a small recording studio, a pair of headphones over my ears. I was a guest on a popular podcast for female entrepreneurs. The host asked me, "Claire, your new company has grown so fast. What's the philosophy behind it?" I leaned into the microphone. "It's simple," I said. "My business is built on absolute transparency and mutual respect. Because I know, firsthand, what it feels like when trust is broken." I came home that night to my own condo. My down payment had been returned, with interest, within 24 hours of that meeting. I never got a verbal apology from my mother or sister. But a week later, a handwritten letter arrived. It was from my father. It was long, rambling, and full of excuses, but buried in the third paragraph were the words I had waited a lifetime to hear. "I am sorry, Claire. I failed you as a father." I read it once, folded it carefully, and placed it in a box labeled past. It was an acknowledgement, not an absolution. And it was enough. Tonight, I'm standing on my own balcony, looking out at the city lights. For so many years, I thought my value was something I had to earn from them, something I had to pay for over and over again. I was wrong. I think about the money, the lies, the heartbreak. But mostly, I think about the silence in my life now. It's not an empty silence. It's a peaceful one. My phone doesn't ring with demands. My weekends are my own. My worth is not up for debate. I learned that true value isn't something you beg someone else for. It's the thing you refuse to let them take away. In the distance, I hear the low whistle of a train pulling out of the station, heading somewhere new. I smile. Me too. Thank you so much for listening to my story. It wasn't easy to share, but I feel it's important. I have to ask, have you ever had to draw a hard line with family to protect your own peace? Let me know your experience in the comments below. It helps all of us feel a little less alone. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more. It really does help the channel. Thanks again.